understand me, you got to understand where I came from.
ML Elric for the 2021 City Council race.
Are the people ready?
They are not ready, but they need to see it.
Let me just take you back to when I was 10 years old living on the east side. I was born into a wrestling family.
Of course, your dad was wrestling superstar.
The Soul Man.
Mark Fellhauer.
To me, he was a superhero.
Hey, Romeo and Juliet, pay attention. We've got gladiators in the ring.
I learned a lot of lessons very early on in life. At the same time, I was just a regular little...
Pulitzer Prize and Emmy Award winner.
I'll have your finest tequila.
No.
I'll have a vodka martini.
No.
You ass interrogator, try to bring around my face. It's gone.
What are you doing?
That is not paid for by them. That is paid for by the people of Detroit.
You might be qualified, ML.
I'm not qualified for this job.
Let me tell you something. You want to go right now? Okay? You want to go right now, Albert?
Hey kids, it's your old pal ML Elric, and I got to tell you, I was looking at the calendar, and I am so excited about some of the guests that we have coming up. We should be having Mike Rattay on a future show to talk about this year's Clark Park Charity Classic hockey game. Normally we do that outdoors in Southwest Detroit. This year we will be doing it in the East Side indoors at a rink that is run by the East Side Youth Sports Foundation, who's kind enough to provide us with ice so we can have that game. So we'll be telling you more about that later this month. And for St. Patrick's Day, we're going to reconnect with our friend John Rutherford, one of the owners of the Cadieux Cafe. You may know him with the Motor City Horns, the trombone player for Bob Seger. And we are going to go around the horn, go around the country, probably check in with Ben Blackwell down in Nashville, and sort of take you around the country New Year's Eve style, Dick Clark rockin' New Year's Eve style, to celebrate St. Patrick's Day, because it was on St. Patrick's Day that we realized that we were in this pandemic that has changed our lives. And we have some other great guests lined up. Unfortunately, this week sucks because it's just Sean Windsor and Mark Fellhauer.
I knew that was coming. A couple things.
I know,
Do you have gum? Do you have gum? Or are you chewing something?
I'm chewing on my own sorrow.
And what's going on with your hair? You don't have product in it this week. It's throwing me off there a little bit.
I'm going for sort of a Robert Redford look.
Okay.
This is what Robert Redford would look like if he was not good looking.
Okay.
And if he didn't dye his
hair
red?
I started with the hair.
That makes sense.
Yeah. That's I figured I'm going to go from the top
I
down.
did like your technique, though, of saying that, the future podcast will be great, and this one
will be
suck.
total garbage. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, which reminds me, that's true, but Roy O'Brien Ford, Lady Janes, Luke Nowacki, and David Hall are all awesome, so I think we fulfilled our obligation there in case somebody dials out right now. But we are going to be joined a little later with a special guest, Ed Murphy, a super volunteer and data guru for my city council campaign, who's going to share a tale from the campaign trail that happened last Saturday. So you're going to want to stick around for that, because it's pretty funny. So
Such a good tease. I don't even know about it.
So, well, that's the beauty.
He's
of
good
a
at teasing.
It captures your imagination. You will stick around and wait. So
your whiskers are teasing your face. They've been trying to come in for 30 years.
There's something to be said for not coming right away. Just take your time.
Really?
I know you're puzzled by that, but I'm just saying.
I'm just puzzled.
Just
I'm
try
puzzled by that 30 years of growth on your face.
So now it's taking so long, everyone's exhausted.
We've got
just wants to move on.
We've got some feedback from listener Ann, who says, "Sean, please try that. Listen to the man, Sean. For the love of all that's holy, please listen to the man."
Wait a second, Mark. Did we not have like a private production meeting where we were going to leave the wives out of all of this? And then now that's what he's doing?
This is ANN.
I don't understand this, Mark. So whatever is good for the future councilman.
Wait.
Right?
Wait, what makes you assume this is someone you know?
So if it's good for you.
There's only one woman named Ann who listens to this show?
Okay. Well,
probably.
I don't know that my wife would ever listen to the show because of me. She might listen because of you.
Boy,
certainly because of Mark.
Oh, yeah, right.
I think somebody just outed themselves there.
She's always loved that Mark made fun of his calves, like on our first podcast.
I did?
How they held up all that.
Well, they have to.
Because he's got beautiful calves, and he made a nice comment about it or a joke about it, and she's loved him ever since.
Of all the parts of my body to choose to be beautiful, the calves would be way down on the list. There's so many other things I'd rather fix.
Well, I thought this was going to be a bad show, and then we started talking about naked guys on the show, and it just got worse.
What, does it make you uncomfortable?
I'm just
Come on, man. It's 2021.
I'm looking for a reason to live. That's all. That's where I'm coming from.
You're still stuck in 1982, I think. Hence the music, hence the old television shows.
I got to say, I'm totally perplexed because you picked the intro today and you picked a new show, which is Young Rock on NBC, which blew my mind that you even knew that thing existed.
And had a Kool in the Gang riff in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So have you seen the show?
I have seen promos for the show.
Okay. So you know of its existence.
And I read an interview with The Rock that I think the New York Times did.
Of course you did.
And it was...
of course you would read an article in the New York Times instead of watching the half-hour sitcom.
Well, because I can find out how bad the show is in minutes as opposed to
giving it a shot.
Or maybe you want to do one yourself, right, Mark? I mean, to launch your so-called run for
the Young El Rock.
Yeah,
I watched that. I watched his show. It's not bad, but pretty much anything he touches turns to gold.
Isn't this all about his future presidential run, though?
I think it's a little bit tongue in cheek. I mean, I've only seen one episode, but is he the most perfect human being or what?
He's a pretty cool dude, but I can't get over the idea when in the history of man or woman or
human
or non-binary person have we had somebody who had a show where it's basically I wanted to tell people about the 3 stages. I mean, is he that interesting? I mean, he's definitely charismatic. He's definitely super smart. And he has a way of being a big, intimidating guy, but also being incredibly accessible.
I mean, if you read an article on him in the New York Times, you probably wouldn't find him that interesting, I'm guessing. It's probably kind of bland.
No, I found him interesting, but I'm like, can we run a series off of this? I mean, how about
there he is.
Wow, I'd stay out of that kitchen.
I have a question for you guys. Is he the only sort of bodybuilder guy with big ripped muscles who's a Democrat?
Oh, wow.
I think Arnold Schwarzenegger is. He's just
he's a moderate Republican.
He's nowadays they would call him a Democrat.
Weird
but he
random
used to
thought,
be
Sean.
A Republican.
It's a weird random thought. Well, Ferrigno isn't because he worked. Didn't Lou Ferrigno work in an administration? Did he work under Trump? Ferrigno?
He may have.
I think he did.
Yeah. No, I just sort of tend to associate that
testosterone.
Part of a little bit.
The right.
Exactly.
Yeah, actually, I think Trump wanted to call Ferrigno during the impeachment hearings as a witness because he didn't hear anything.
Oh,
troubling.
Oh, yeah.
Or at all.
Can't believe you're making fun of that community.
As Lou Ferrigno said to me, "I'll kill."
Oh my God. I apologize. I'm sorry for
what. I think Lou can stick up for himself. Lou actually is another one of those really funny people.
Awesome, yeah.
He was hilarious on The King of Queens and a bunch of other stuff he's done.
Well, he pokes fun at himself a little bit. That's the key.
Yeah.
Right? Don't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah.
And you loved him in Hulk, right?
Are you talking to me or are you talking to him?
Or either one of you.
Oh, I thought you were talking to him.
Either one of you. I mean, he's over there drinking. What are you drinking? Tea?
I'm just enjoying a nice cold...
Oh, well, that explains it. You're a little what, Mark?
I'm a little young for Hulk. I remember it, though. I don't know. I mean, as a kid, I liked it, yeah.
I used to cry when that little piano riff would come on.
It was kind of bittersweet. Yeah,
it really hurt.
Yeah.
It's very
I felt the same way about The Man from Atlantis, with Patrick Duffy. With the webbed fingers and feet. I'm okay. That's really dating myself.
Didn't he was in the water 1 minute looking for Atlantis, and the next minute he was in a shower with Victoria Principal.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good career arc.
That's a great reference.
I just thought it would be fun to be able to breathe underwater. I mean, Mike can.
Victoria Principal.
Yeah, this is a great show. This is a great start.
We have another note here from Ann. Can you learn to breathe through your ears? This is AYN.
Mark, did we not have a production meeting about leaving the wives out?
And you brought it up, which is why he's doing it.
No, this is a different Ann. Listen.
It's not going to be so funny when
this audience is shrinking, but we have more Anns than anybody else.
Excellent, great.
Yeah, that's so.
What's going on?
So yeah, no, I have not seen this show, but I'm just wondering, is there anybody who's big enough to justify doing basically an extended biopic. And what is the future of this show? Is it one season? I mean, do they do 10 episodes, or is it going to be a big success and we get caught up and all of a sudden all we have left is present day rock? And he's like, well, on this week's episode, I'm making a shopping list.
Well, it's young rock, so I'm sure it's going to stay in his youth because that's what the show's about.
No, it's 3 stages. He said it's his youth, it's when he's in high school, and then it's when he's in Miami. And
there's
then
your 3 seasons. There's your seasons.
We're gonna do a whole season on a guy while he's in elementary school.
He'll make up some stories. I mean, they make up stories all the time for sitcoms.
Boy,
God, you were such a stickler.
Yeah, kind of like Curb Your Enthusiasm.
I'm sure if it was on Morrissey, you'd be all pumped for it.
I might watch some of that.
Exactly.
Actually, Morrissey would be one episode. Everybody's mean to me.
I
sat in my room and listened to 45s.
There's a new movie out there. I think it's on
Tamla.
Hulu.
Tell people who Morrissey is, please.
You got to be kidding.
He does every week. What are you talking about?
Tell people who Morrissey.
We also tell people who Kwame Kilpatrick is in your relationship with him.
Ding. It's like saying tell people who Jesus is. People know.
Jesus.
I think that might be one group of the most rabid fans for an artist, for music artists.
The Smiths.
Yeah.
Well, it's not the Smiths, it's just Morrissey, right? He never says he never says the Smiths, and by he I mean ML.
I love the Smiths. I would much rather go see Johnny Marr in concert than Stephen Patrick Morrissey, the lead singer of the Smiths, to get back to Sean's earlier.
Yeah, but Marr never gets enough credit, to Sean's point.
What? I know people who love the Smiths where I'm just like, oh, I love Morrissey. And they're like, it's all Johnny Marr. It's all he gets. 37 years ago, by the way, this week, the Smiths released their debut album, The Smiths.
Who are these people, by the way?
It comes from our Brooklyn
You said, I know
correspondent,
people.
Stearns.
Who are these people?
I know people. In fact, you better be careful because I know people.
Somebody could come in and sit in this
saying.
seat. It'd probably be better
I'm just
for
telling you.
everybody involved.
I know people.
Including the listeners.
If I needed to get a car, do you know any people?
I do. In fact, I was thinking the Smiths album was released 37 years ago. You know what happened 38 years before that?
The last time you bought a car?
Or that would be the first time.
It's a 2007. No, Roy O'Brien Ford opened at 9 Mile and Mac in St. Clair Shores 75 years ago. If you're looking for a new ride, service repairs, or even just a top-notch oil change, they are still the place to go. My mom bought her red Ford Focus wagon there. You may have heard her. Some people would say complaining in a very ungraceful way, but I would just say mentioning, because she's my mom and I want to keep it positive, that we borrow that wagon a lot. It's got almost 110,000 miles on it, and it's still going strong. She is
not believe you would take advantage of such a sweet lady.
I have never taken advantage of my mom. She's very, and you know what she traded in to get that Ford Focus wagon? She's always sensitive to me mentioning her age. So I probably shouldn't say, but she traded in her Model A to get that Ford Focus wagon. Sean's looking at porn. So, okay, we'll get back to this. Anyways.
No, you're not talking to me.
So Roy O'Brien Ford has been taking care of customers, as I said, for 75 years. If you don't feel like taking the right track to go to 9 Mile Mac, RoyO'Brien.com is the place to go, where you can check out Fast Track, which lets you choose your vehicle and options. You can pick your deal. You can lease, finance, or pay cash, which is the way I like to do it, except I don't have any cash because I'm unemployed. You can find out the value of your trade-in, apply for financing, and schedule delivery of your new ride or your used one, because they have quite a selection of used vehicles. If you go in person, they're taking all the protocols to keep you safe, so you can go in there feeling well and leave feeling even better. So if you want to learn more, go to RoyO'Brien.com. That's RoyO'Brien.com, or call 888-566-5851. And be sure to tell them that ML's mom's son sent you to.
I want to get in that thing and just drive it right away. Do you mind?
And you're speaking, of course, of Roy O'Brien Ford.
I'm sure you could fill 3 seasons of stories of your youth.
Me?
Yeah, you fill many podcasts with the story. You fill
your mom did
sponsorships with old stories.
I'm afraid of being accused of being.
Was he making a joke
self-absorbed
and waiting for me to laugh or
yes,
comment
he was
or something like that? I mean, I don't understand why he needs my validation.
He only does this podcast for you, Sean.
Why does he need my validation? He doesn't. I need his.
I'm striving to be accepted by Sean, and it'll never happen, but that's what keeps us going. So on a separate note, I was thinking about this when Sean was looking at inappropriate images on his phone. What have you guys given up for Lent?
That's a great question.
You have to be Catholic?
You could be Catholic, or you could believe in making a sacrifice to deny yourself.
I make a sacrifice
other people
every Tuesday.
Yes, you only get half an hour nap between the
you,
hours of noon and 1.
Since this was a setup to find out what you're giving up for Lent, why don't you just tell us what you're giving up for Lent?
Come on, just get to the point. You want to talk about yourself.
I already know what I'm giving up for Lent. I want to know what you guys are giving up.
God, I haven't even thought about it.
I know Sean gave up giving up, so he's... Fannie Lou Hamer was sick and tired of being sick and tired. Sean gave up giving up.
I've just given up, period.
Not quite as noble.
No, I've just given up.
You sell yourself short.
No, I've just given up.
Which is good, because you fit right in with the rest of us.
I'll bite. What did you give up for Lent, ML?
I gave up dark chocolate, but I was really more interested in what you guys made.
It's really, boy.
I know you're a good Catholic boy, Mark. You were even an altar boy.
I try to be. Oh God, yeah. Or is there some?
That was the first time somebody said, "I really like those cats."
There it is. I knew there was something coming.
What'd you give up?
I haven't done that in a few years. It's crazy.
Really? I've given up caring that my nipples are pointing downward.
I'm sure my children get
That'll
older.
make it easier for me not to eat any hot dark chocolate.
Gravity is. I've given into gravity.
What kind of woman are you? What do you mean you're giving it? Do you eat enough dark chocolate to make that a sacrifice?
Every day.
Really?
I start the day with some dark chocolate.
It is. Oh, you don't eat it in the evening? I eat a little bit of chocolate in the evening.
I start the day. I have some in the middle of the day.
Here's the difference between you and me.
I have some in the evening.
I find this fascinating that you guys consume this much chocolate.
Here's the difference between
It's
you
very
and me.
healthy for you.
Let me explain it to you, Mark. He eats dark chocolate because it's actually good for you. I eat the milk chocolate because I hate myself and I want the immediate gratification of the
I eat
little
white
bit
chocolate
of sugar.
because I'm racist.
You hate
I
yourself
love white
so
chocolate
much.
too.
Are you sure you're not
Racist.
Catholic? You sound very Catholic to me.
You know, last night I went to the store and got
Self-loathing.
And
got chips and Reese's and put them in the freezer.
What?
And drumsticks for my youngest son.
Yeah. I like
a
the way
zero bar for my oldest son. I'm walking out of the store. It's like midnight. It was
How high were
watching
you?
British
How much
TV,
weed did
and I'm
you
looking at these
ingest?
bags. Because the kids are home, they're doing school, we're in a pandemic, and you're just kind of giving into the.
You made a run.
I was in
to
a
the
robe.
store.
I was in a robe. I did not write a check.
Wait a
How
sec.
about that?
Wait a sec. You're in a robe. You made a run to the store.
I was not in a
to
robe.
buy chocolate and chips and ice cream, and you came home and watched British television. You had to have been high.
No,
right?
I wasn't, and that's the depressing part of this. I was walking out with the bags in my hand, thinking, "What the fuck? How pathetic is this?"
Oh, I just got
This is
I
not
thought you were
what
high.
This is not what adults do. It would be much more explainable if I had been high.
I just got a call from Hollywood. They've just canceled Young Sean. It was in development, but they've heard enough. It's over. They've moved on.
Although I do have to say I like zero bars, but the zero bars were not from me.
Those white chocolate things?
Yeah, I love white chocolate.
What you have to go to like the last Greyhound station in America to find those things.
I once did a feature story on Christmas Day hanging out at a Greyhound bus station in Detroit.
Bloop.
It was fun.
I once
it was-
did a
I
Christmas
can't wait till I'm
Day
old enough to
story of
give
what
up.
it was like to spend the day in the Belknap County Jail in Belknap, New Hampshire.
I've
Did
never
you
done a
interview
Christmas
anybody?
Day story.
I did. I interviewed a woman who was a very lovely woman, and she and her roommate had saved up, and she bought her roommate a toothbrush from the commissary, which I don't think was necessarily a commentary on her roommate's breath. And I think her roommate had bought her like a roll of certs because that's all they could afford.
By the way, can I just a quick little addendum here or a little adjustment to the story? Because it was all true. There were a bag of baked Lays in there, too, because my oldest son asked for baked Lays, and my wife tried to discourage that by saying, hey, it's just ground up potatoes. It's turned into a paste and then laid out on silicone and baked.
This sounds like a good time to remind people that we have some great shows coming up. Mike Ratai will be here. We will be doing a special St. Patrick's Day show.
You've never had a good ear for what's fun, but that's okay.
Probably best
I
to,
think we should go down Sean's grocery list every week. I find it utterly fascinating.
I know what's
That's not
in
really
it.
a grocery list as much as a...
There's lard.
I'm stuck at 18.
Lard.
And butter.
No. I was just recreating my days of being 19 and flunking out of school. Last
Lard
night.
is for cooking. The butter is for putting his
that's
pants
what-
on.
That's what I was doing.
Oh, okay.
It was a flashback to taking 4 zeros one semester and walking around in pajamas. And
Wait, seriously? Did you
know.
really?
I did.
Really?
I did.
A whole semester? What happened?
I stopped going to class in late October, probably.
Is there was there some reason for it, or just
other than depression and self-loathing?
Okay, yeah, but I mean, every kid goes through that.
I was treading in bong water. You know what I mean? It was just,
okay, yeah. Which is why
watching Timbuk 3 playing. I Got to Wear Shades in front of the head shop down the street from where I lived. That was kind of interesting.
So how were you able to go to the next semester?
Pardon me?
How were you able to go to the next semester?
I didn't. I went to junior college.
Okay.
And then got back in.
I had a buddy that did the same thing at Central, got a 0.0. Or no,
it wasn't because I was partying or anything like that. I was just in over my head in a way and whatever.
Wait, was that your first semester?
Lost a little bit. It was my second semester. The first semester I was okay. It was the second semester. Then I went to junior college. I wanted to go.
Where was this at? What
you entered the transfer
University
portal?
of Texas.
Oh, wow. In Austin, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And then I got back in. I went and got A's for a couple of semesters and then got back in.
Wow.
And look at you today.
No, not really.
And then you fast forward last year.
Yeah, and then I fast forward and it's fucking midnight and I'm walking out with a bag of zero. And
life's everything you ever wanted.
By the end, there was a Gatorade in there. That's semi, I guess.
I love that.
Okay. The Gatorade wasn't for me. But I don't know. Yeah, I'm a terrible dad, too, because I'm getting that stuff at midnight. And
they're old enough. They're fine.
Empty calories for those boys. That'll keep them going.
Yeah. I did make a French potato leek soup for dinner, so I at least can...
Oh, so the snob in you is still alive.
Was there marbling in the...
Marbling?
Was there any marbling?
In the leeks? They're green and white.
Yeah,
Why couldn't you just say you made onion soup?
Because it was leek soup. I don't know.
Onions,
why can't you just say you live in Grosse Pointe? Oh, that's right. We're not supposed to talk about that. But we can't talk about wives. But I thought we weren't supposed to talk about that either. But go ahead.
To all the Anns listening at home, I just want to apologize. We would never allow you to be married to Sean.
I'm sorry. Okay, it's your podcast. I'm going to go ahead and be quiet for a while.
Well, if anybody out there is trying to better themselves like Sean clearly is, and you need to get a haircut because you're all scruffy, go to Lady Jane's. Quit messing around. Get to the nearest Lady Jane's near you. You can get a great haircut, a hot lather neck shave that might take a while for some people, and a hot towel treatment in a safe and clean environment. Make sure when you check in, tell them either this show, The Soul of Detroit, or The Drew and Mike Show. By the way, click that you're a new customer, and then you can pick. If you're a repeat customer, you can't click. But go to LadyJanes.com, find the one nearest to you, and when you check in, please click on us. And Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
Were you insinuating that they will shave multiple necks for one price?
No. Some people have hairy necks.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if that was some sort of a Mitch McConnell shot.
I have a hairy back. By the way, Matt Jennings just texted me.
Oh, great.
He said, I love leek soup. So there, Michael.
I do too.
That's exactly the third-party validator we've all been looking for.
The guy drives a truck and he loves leek soup. So can we just stop with the labeling and stop with it? We can just say we can do. I mean, look at Mark.
And the broad brushing.
Look at Mark. Yeah, hard right conservative who can't wait to get off this podcast to go watch his favorite soccer team in England.
Actually, he told me he was going to watch football later.
On the pitch.
Well, he calls it football because he's an elitist. And
okay.
That's me. Yeah.
I understand. Well, before we move on, it's already
all about
too
gambling,
late.
Sean.
It is.
I want to say we're very happy to hear that our friend Barney Johnson is doing better. If you follow the podcast on Facebook, you have probably seen Barney's posts. But she reports, yes, Barney is a nom de guerre, a pseudonym, a fake name, if you will. That she was without power for 5 days, but because she's from Michigan, she got through it and took a much needed shower recently and did some laundry. So we're glad.
What a nightmare that was.
We're glad that she's doing okay, and we'll be talking a little bit more about Texas a little bit later in the show. But I want to share something that I got in our mailbag from Awkward. Oh, where's that was primed for Matt, but he's not here. So okay, so we'll go back.
What?
That felt like a real opening for Matt Jennings, to say we reached into our mailbag, but but we're trying to get Matt on a higher plane. Shirley says, "Hi gang, my husband drinks beer occasionally. Typically, I just buy him 6 packs of like Bell's Two Hearted Ale or Short's Local Light when it's warm because of your podcast." I think she means when it's warm outside. Because of your podcast, Altus caught our eye at the store last week. 12-pack, not the usual 6er, so he'll be sipping Altus moving forward. Do you know if it also comes in bottles? I do not think it comes in bottles at this point, Shirley. But more importantly, Shirley asks if we have any thoughts on 32-year-old former Speaker Lee Chatfield losing his job with a nonprofit business group in southeastern Michigan.
Southeastern or southwestern?
Southwestern Michigan. She thinks that Governor Whitmer may have sicked her reporter toadies on him. But what do I know, she says. Either way, what in the world did that hack give away to corporate fat cats while he was briefly a lawmaker to be rewarded with that gig right afterward? Wish you luck in the primary, referring to the city council race. Finally, an honest public servant. I think she's referring to me, not Lee Chatfield.
Of course, only you.
I have not earned enough votes to be a public servant yet, but I do have aspirations. So first of all, she says Chatfield was making $750,000, which I don't know if that's true or not, but the guy he replaced was making $750,000 to help
a nonprofit
foster business. It's profitable for somebody, obviously, in Southwestern
but it's not
Michigan.
Supposed to turn a profit, so that's why they can pay people $750,000.
They sluice all that money
ridiculous
off to the executives. But
sluice.
What?
Leak. Touche.
Sluice.
Lard for the cooking, butter for the belts.
As far as I know, a leek comes out of the ground. Sluice comes out of your...
No, sluice is how they prospect. That comes out of the ground, too.
Yeah, okay.
That's the way that they
right.
separate the gold from the rock.
I didn't mean to add any fun there. Go ahead. Keep going.
And see, we're right back to the rock. So this show is actually, while it seems completely in disarray, it's incredibly carefully constructed.
And some of those people out there is actually a rundown of some sort.
You keep scratching the back of your neck. You're trying to get those hairs untangled. You should see Lady Jane's.
Yeah. No, I'm pretending this is a pistol. I just want to be taken away.
So explain Chatfield and what happened there, because I don't know if a lot of people know.
As people may know, Chatfield very conservative socially, and had made some comments about gays and lesbians and folks who do not hew to the traditional one man, one woman, marry, blah, 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 blah. In other words, he's a little bit behind the times, if I can be kind. And so there were folks who objected to this, and he tried to hold on to this job, and he, was not successful. I think Kalamazoo may have refused to make their contribution to this business group. And ultimately, the heat got turned up, and he left. And whether or not Governor Whitmer inspired some reporters to look into this or not, I can't say. I sort of think it just bubbled up on its own. But I love Shirley's question at the end of this. What did that hack give away to corporate fat cats while he was briefly a lawmaker to be rewarded with a gig right after that? And it raises...
Isn't that the problem with, leaving any kind of legislation in general, either federally or at the state level?
Well, federally, there's a revolving door rule where if you're a member of Congress, you can't become a lobbyist for like a year or 2 years or something like that. In Michigan, we have nothing like that. But even if we did, it wouldn't necessarily apply to a job like this, which is insane because these guys do take jobs and they do rise to positions in the legislature that set them up for their second act. And when I was at Fox 2, we did a story on this deal the state Senate entered to buy an office tower, which is across the street from the office tower they already occupied, that put taxpayers under the hammer for like $100 million over the next 20 or 30 years. And the way things work in Lansing, only one person had to approve this deal. It was the Senate president at the time, Randy Richardville, nice enough guy. But what he did was he decided that the Senate needed a new building. And so they struck this deal with a guy named Ron Bogie, who happened to own the building. And after he left the Senate, lo and behold, Mr. Richardville got a job doing some consulting for, Sean?
I have no idea.
Ron Bogie. I thought you may have been paying that much attention. I just said the
name. That would have been a very educated.
No, you're slowing way down. I guess you're trying to be serious. It's
I thought you might be a little logy after all those lard Fritos and drumsticks.
I didn't say anything about lard, whatever. But no, you.
That's how they make potato chips.
Really serious, and there were lots of periods.
Phil Guzmano knows that. But anyway, this is a real problem, and thinking about that. That situation reminded me of a funny story when we were trying to find Ron Bogie. We had been looking for all these Republicans who were hanging out And we spent a very sweaty night in the back of a Ford Escape shooting video of all these Republicans hanging out at Ron Boje's massive home in a gated community where they're all coming out on the veranda and drinking things in highball glasses and smoking cigars. And we see all these people, Mike Kowal.
Were you a little jealous? Because you were in the back of a
I was
sweaty van. Yeah.
The only thing I was jealous of is they had ready access to a restroom whenever they needed it. But it was very hot, and we're watching all this, and we ended up doing a couple of stories where we used this video, and it was very useful. I believe Mr. Richardville was there as well. But when we went to go talk to Ron Boje about this real estate deal, he refused to talk to us. We couldn't catch him anywhere. We couldn't get him at the house because, he leaves this massive garage and shoots down the street in his big car and drives through the gates, and he's gone. And he owns a tower, Boje Tower. Mm-hmm. Even Sean would have got that one in Lansing. And when he leaves, he comes up out of an underground parking spot. So we couldn't get him there. So finally we figured out that he hangs out at the Shenandoah Club, which is a country club in Oakland County. And so my partner at the time, Chris Sherbert, and I were waiting in the Shenandoah Club for Mr. Boje to come out or to arrive. And we did not know what he drove. We thought we had an idea. My guess was it was like a Audi A8 or something. And a car that looks like that pulls up, and a guy who kind of looks like Ron Boje gets out. And one of the things that you have to do is you have to make a split-second decision. Are you going to get out? And some people would say jump the guy. I would say, as Mr. Steve Wilson says, have an unscheduled accountability session with somebody, because you have to do it fast, because you've got to close the ground between where you are, where they are, before they get to the door where they can be, safely escorted inside by security or whomever. And so we see a guy, we're trying to figure out, we make the split-second decision to jump out. And so we jump out at this guy, and we're running towards him. And then we get halfway there, and I said, stop. It wasn't him. So we get back in the car. And so now we're back in the car, and all the valets are watching us. They've just watched two guys, including one who has a huge camera on his shoulder, jump out and run at a guy, stop, retreat, go back to the car. And the whole time we're sitting here thinking, okay, we've blown this. Somebody's going to tell us to leave. This was a disaster. Nobody says anything. And then Ron Boje shows up, and we know it's Ron Boje. And guess what he was driving? Sean?
An Audi, whatever it was, 08, A8.
Very good. It was actually probably.
Well, yeah, you chastise him for not listening.
Probably a 2015.
He's taking notes.
A8.
No, I always listen. I just was thinking, I was actually getting lost thinking that, wow, it was great probably when he was at Fox 2 and he had an editor. Because I know he had one, the Free Press too, but go ahead.
To drink.
Continue.
So what happened?
Yeah, tell us.
Now that we're all taking notes in case we're...
Yeah.
So we got Ron.
The lecture, we're about halfway through.
So we got... It's only a lecture. This is like the semester
This is a three-part series on young L. Rock.
Oh, yeah.
L. Rock.
Okay.
This is like the semester when you got all zeros.
Yeah, but you found that out in 2 seconds. You know what I mean? I went to Speedway and got some shitty food, and I was watching, actually not British TV, it was a show called Search Party. I don't know if you guys have seen that. But anyway, you knew that in 2 seconds. But go ahead.
Were they searching for the point?
Okay, so what happened?
Like we are, yeah.
So we got Ron Boje, and all he said was, talk to John Truscott the whole time. Talk to John Truscott the whole time. But
well, that ended with a whimper.
After the hour build up.
Wow. I probably should have told you to cue up the sound, because it was a pretty funny encounter. But anyways,
well, I think Sean ruined it too by not paying attention.
If Sean's responsible, I'm with you. And we didn't even get the chips like those boys who have suffered longer than we have. And his wife Penelope. But this is one of these. This is another example, a fairly recent example of a leader of one of our legislative bodies who benefited financially from his position after he left the legislature. And to Shirley's point, I don't know what he did to secure this job. He's actually from a completely different part of the state. He's like from northwestern Michigan. So I would love to know.
Oh, so what knowledge does he have of the southwestern southwestern Michigan business?
Something like that.
Grand Rapids area, right?
The swells. But yeah, I mean, no, that's western Michigan. This is Kalamazoo.
Hey, why did Kalamazoo?
Kalamazoo.
Why were they withholding money to the fund? Was it strictly because of his views on LGBT, or was it because of the Trump meeting? Okay.
No, Kalamazoo is a very progressive community, and I think they were concerned that they didn't want their money supporting someone who has views that didn't support people in general. I mean, it's sort of a very narrow-minded.
And I don't think the guy should never work again, clearly, but at the same time,
No.
he just got term limited.
Yeah, but he knew that's the thing. You want term limits. You know, when you take the job, you got 6 most in the House and maybe another 8 in the Senate. I mean, that's sort of like saying, well, if I drink all my life, it's going to suck if I get cirrhosis of the liver. It's like, no. When you drink all your life, you're going to get cirrhosis of the liver. That's expected.
The story. This is a really interesting story, though, because why shouldn't he do this job? Frankly, I don't know why it pays that much to begin with.
Well,
but you can't have the members withholding money, which is well within their rights to do so.
Well, here's my question, if I can counter your question with a question. What is it about a guy who's had his mouth on the public tit since the time he was 26 years old know about business development in a different part of the state? I mean, come on. That's the thing. He was a 32-year-old dude who was Speaker of the House, so he's got some connections in Lansing and maybe with the bureaucracy. But he's been basically on the dole since he was 26. This is the business genius who's going to.
I don't like that argument, though. I don't like that argument, though,
ridiculous.
because there's a lot of career politicians, and I know we don't like career politicians.
I don't mind them if
What's
they're
wrong
good.
with the career? Exactly.
He's just saying that. What does he know about business? I think you can know a lot about business being a politician.
I'm saying, what did he have to do with business from the time he was 18 to 20? If he went into business right out of high school, he's got 8 years of business experience. What does he know? There's got to be a more qualified candidate out there, regardless of
you
his
can be
his
smart,
social
know
views.
lots about lots of things. I agree with you, Mark.
Yeah,
I mean,
what does Biden know about business? I mean, he's a career his whole life.
I mean, look, I'm a sports writer,
He's
and I
not
know a lot
running.
about Cheetos.
He didn't run to be head of a business association.
I understand that, but I'm just saying that I just don't like that argument because, like Sean more eloquently put it, you can know a lot of things about a lot of things.
That's not very eloquent. I mean, I'm a sports writer, and I know a little bit about sports, and I know a lot about Cheetos, for example, and those two have nothing to do with each
other.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that has to do with being 26 years old, except you're in your pajamas outside the Cumbie
we
farm.
could live in bubbles like you do, little vacuums, and not pay attention to the world, but some people try to, and I think that's Mark's point.
So let's edit this. Shirley, I don't know. Thanks. We appreciate it.
That was a great question, Shirley. Sorry we got lost in Mike's Fox 2 tales.
Nick on Facebook had a question for you, and I believe the question was,
does this story have an end?
But I think that was in regards to Ron Boji.
Oh, sorry. Ooh, that makes a weird little echo.
Yeah.
I just thought I'd take people on the inside.
I thought it was interesting.
Of the surveillance and
I know because you said that.
This was poorly produced because I would have ended the story with our dynamic confrontation with Mr. Ronald Boji outside the Shenandoah Country Club.
Am I supposed to call Ed, by the way?
No, it's okay, Mikey.
We didn't do that.
No, let's we're going to do that in a minute because we have to get to some more correspondence. But I think this is probably as good a time as anybody to tell folks how to plan for a good financial future.
Oh, well, the one thing you don't want to do is overreact. I mean, the market's been crazy the last 2 days. If you have tech stocks, do not look at your 401k.
No, investing should be like a good story. It should move under its own weight. There should be points where you're like, where's this story going? But in the end, it takes you to a good place, right? We just had an object lesson in that.
I mean, you hear so much about day trading, but I think maybe the long-term advice, see, it's been a disaster. I think the Nasdaq's getting slaughtered today too. All those tech stocks, whatever that means. I don't know what it means. I know a guy who doesn't know what it means. It's Luke Nowacki at Pinnacle Wealth. Give him a call, 248-663-4748. He will provide rational financial advice for the long term, be it 6 months from now, 6 years from now, 6 decades from now, stocks, bonds, that 401k. What do you do with it? Because you want to make the most out of your money. You got to get advice. You got to get a strategy. Call Luke Nowacki at Pinnacle Wealth, 248-663-4748. And what's he going to do, ML?
Well, this is the one thing that we can promise you, that he'll make it all about you, sweetheart.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Royal Alliance Associates Inc. Member FINRA/SIPC. Royal Alliance Associates Inc. is separately owned, and other entities and/or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent of Royal Alliance Associates Inc.
Yeah.
Well done, Luke.
Yes.
Luke is not a geek.
What?
Luke is not a geek.
What? What are you talking
That's a verbal elbow to the ribs.
So we're not calling Ed. Okay, great.
Oh man, the geeks have inherited the earth.
We'll call him later. We'll do it live.
Him wanting to play with us
Why are you
again.
yelling at me?
Turning into a
Friggin'
geek,
thing
or
sucks!
turning into cool guys.
The great New York columnist Murray Kempton once sagely said, "There's no excuse for kicking someone unless he's up." So I am not going to make the Texas Republican Party our Geek of the Week, because you may recall not so long ago they were saying that Texas should secede from the union. Well, now that very union is the one they're turning to for emergency help, because somebody's messing with Texas and its Father Winter, and things are not going so well.
It's been a disaster.
But we're not going to pick on Texas, and we're grateful that Barney and her family seem to be doing well and smelling even better. Then I thought about, what about that law firm that hired first brother Frank Biden?
Oh my God.
Which has been trying to drum up business by hyping his ties to his infinitely more successful brother, who also not a businessman, as Mark pointed out, but he is the president. And now it has me wondering, is Frank the new Hugh Rodham?
Yes.
The new Roger Clinton?
Oh, yeah.
Perhaps for those who are a little older, the new Billy Carter?
Well, there's also, there's other brother, too, can be really fall in that category. Is it Jim Biden?
Oh, God, I'm taking one screwhead brother at a time.
I know. Frank's a load.
Yeah, he definitely seems like a dude who, and God rest Leon Spinks' soul, but Frank Biden kind of feels like a guy who's going to spend the rest of his life as a greeter somewhere. Probably not at a casino like Leon, maybe more at a Walmart or a Piggly Wiggly, since he's down in...
as Wayne correctly pointed out on Facebook Live, he is technically the non-attorney advisor to the law firm.
No. All he has to shop on is, I know people, and that's what they're basically saying.
Not the name.
Yeah, and of course Biden has said this administration is not going to be unethical, and already they got this goober.
Well, he's not part of the administration, but it's still his brother.
Well, and his employers, who are probably rewarding him handsomely, are only too happy to try and parlay off of that themselves. So shame on you, Frank Biden. But you are not our Geek of the Week. That singular honor is reserved for Thomas Ramsey, the founder of the Muddy Rabbits Mess, which is a 32-member military reenactment group from Mississippi. Thomas was returning from a Civil War reenactment in Spring Hill, Tennessee, which I believe is the home of Saturn Automobiles, and stopped for lunch at the Cracker Barrel in Coleman.
Oh, this poor...
When his buff Orpington rooster, Peep, escaped. More on that in just a minute. Ramsey brought Peep to war because he says his research unearthed numerous accounts of soldiers going to war with animals. Yes, even during the Civil War, we had support animals. You'll read journals of people carrying not just fighting rooters, but other support animals, he said, adding that one Confederate soldier carried his rooster with him for 2 years until it was eaten by Union soldiers.
In the Civil War, did they call them support animals? I thought that was a pretty recent phenomenon.
I think depending on how long they're in the field, they may have called them
food, dinner,
sexual partners.
Oh, Jesus, okay. I didn't know you were going that way with it.
Okay.
So Peep's missing.
Big time for a diversion here.
Okay.
When I worked for the Daily Southtown outside of Chicago, we had a sports...
Does this story have an end?
We had a sports writer who was great, and the coach at the time, he wasn't a coach then, he was one of the players. Was it Ozzie Guillen?
Does it matter?
Anyways, some guys in the locker room were watching porn, and Albert Bell, who had some character
Joey.
flaws of his own, came in and said, "Turn that shit off. I don't want to have that crap in the clubhouse." And Ozzie reportedly said, What do you mean? What's the problem? And he's like, I think it may have even been like some freaky animal sex. He's like, I don't want that crap in here. And Ozzie said, it's no big deal. Back where I come from, you screw this, you screw that, you screw a chicken. What's the big deal? And the sports was like, screw a chicken.
You just threw it in there.
But he just didn't want to follow that up. That was like chicken Florentine, except you stuff it with spinach, right, Sean?
Great story, Grandpa.
So anyways, sorry. So yes.
I love that story!
Chickens.
So what happened to Peep?
Oh yeah. So anyways, so Ramsey involved local officials in the search for Peep, even posting a missing chicken alert.
I'm still
and
distracted
photos
by the chicken fuckers
on the social media pages.
Chicken sodomists, sorry.
In Coleman. Every 5 minutes there was someone respond that they were looking for him, said Ramsey. Now, Ramsey apparently had never heard in his research that you never leave a man behind. And he went home to Mississippi.
Oh, man.
And he was almost home when he found out that Peep, I'm pleased to report, was found. In fact, he was found in the parking lot of the very same Cracker Barrel where he had been lost.
Imagine that.
So, no reason for kicking somebody unless they're up. Thomas Ramsey is up because he's been reunited with Peep.
Oh, thank God. Maybe Peep was trying to get away.
And now they can celebrate his victory as our Geek of the Week.
Now, I want you two to kiss each other.
Wow, there's a visual.
Me again!
There's an all-night party in room 7609. And you can dance together all night. You've got the time.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
So you're thinking about the chicken.
No, since
the chicken sex. By the way, do you remember Kip Adada, Friars Club comedian, had a line one time about Drew Carey and said he was such a great friend because he tagged the sheep that kicked.
That's a very subtle joke.
Wow,
disgusting.
I know,
What
but that's what we're doing today. We're talking about chicken fornication and
I'm missing
interspecies, intergalactic lovemaking, and whatever else.
I'm missing Matt right about now. If you are listening to us right now, you are probably listening to the audio version of the show because we typically come off Facebook Live at this point because Facebook doesn't like it when we play music like Duran Duran's Late Bar and some other stuff. We got booted. We got flagged on February 9th. I got this message from Facebook, which hates us. It says, your video is partially muted because it may contain music that belongs to somebody else. And it said that we were muted in Andorra, the United Arab Emirates, Afghanistan, Antigua and Barbuda, Angola, and 130 other countries. So I guess they must have been going.
Just listed the ones that we weren't blocked in.
They may have been going alphabetically, but I'm not sure how the United Arab Emirates comes in the A's. But anyways, so if you're listening to us on the audio download, thank you very much. We really appreciate that. And if you were listening to us on Facebook Live, you're gone.
We're still on there for some
we
reason.
are.
We haven't gotten, but we got to get booted early.
We are not on there. If you're in Andorra,
we love you.
You must be listening to the audio and Antigua and Barbuda, which looks like a typo on Barbados, but apparently there's a Barbuda. So to all our friends in Barbuda, thank you for supporting the soul of Detroit. And we also want to thank our sponsor, Hall Financial, for being a great supporter of all the shows on the Red Shovel Network. Rates are currently in the 2s, so call today and find out how much a refi could save you every single month. When you refi, by the way, there's a process there, which means you're probably going to get to skip a couple payments. So that's an immediate savings for you. And then, of course, when that low rate kicks in, that's savings every single month until you've paid off.
I'm in that process right now. With Mr. Jim Bentley helping me out.
Jim Bentley?
Yeah.
Incorrigible.
You know, it's funny. I talked to him.
Does he draw anything on the closing documents?
No, that's what I was going to say, ML. I mean, you know Jim very well. He's like a different person when he works there. He's very serious. He's very businesslike. It's weird.
Yeah, no.
I didn't expect that out of him.
It's
I'm used to working with him here or at the radio station. But this is, he's done mortgages for a long time. Good dude. I recommend him highly.
He's all grown up. He's got babies and
I don't know about that, but yeah.
So, well, anyways, if you want to get a deal like Mark's gotten or like I've gotten in the past, click on the link on our website to Hall Financial to get started. Or you can go ahead and call 248-308-5000. That's 248-308-5000. And make sure to tell them that ML and Mark sent you. NMLS 1467435. So we love to hear from listeners and viewers when when it comes to things like Room 7609. Sean had several suggestions beforehand. Emmett Otter's Jug Band, which I told him was not a new wave band.
I was going to say, every suggestion he had didn't really seem to fit the idea of what's going on in the room.
No, it didn't.
He said that the laundry tub has been replaced by a synthesizer, so we may try Emmett Otter.
I do like Sean's one-word reviews of the songs when they end, though.
One syllable.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, it's,
Thank you.
He doesn't even go to 3 letters. It's just no.
Oh, thank you.
Or yes. I mean, there's some he likes.
Very kind of you.
When Thomas Ramsey asked Sean, have you seen Peep? He said, no. He was wandering around in his pajamas after failing out of Intro to Philosophy, Modern Feminism.
It was chemistry.
Basket weaving.
Chemistry, economics, history.
And,
of some
self-abuse.
kind. I think Greek daily life. And I don't know.
Who made that schedule?
No wonder he didn't go to class.
I would have turned and run for the hills.
Probably a math class too.
Yeah, so you got chemistry, you got Greek and math. I would have enlisted.
No, it wasn't Greek. It was Greek daily life. It wasn't the language.
Greek daily life. Are we back to the chicken story?
2,000 years ago.
What is going on?
You brought the chickens up.
I took a Greek myth and mythology class, and I still wonder to this day why I ever took that class.
Are you kidding? I love Greek mythology.
I've never used it though.
What?
What would I use that for? Any of
you had Clash of the Titans last week that opened the show.
Helpful to understand the culture a little bit. By the way, do you like chicken?
I love chicken.
What kind of? But what parts of the chicken?
The parts that are on my plate.
Yeah. Are you a breast guy or wing?
Here we go.
Or
yes, I
thigh,
do.
leg?
I do boneless fillets when I grill out. Yes.
Leg, thighs.
No, I
wings, breasts.
I like the breasts.
Bone in or bone out?
Bone out.
Bone out. Okay. Yeah. Just curious.
I'm one of those guys who likes to pretend that my food didn't come from an animal.
Yeah, there's a lot of you out there.
I know.
We're all living in denial. My wife is the same way.
Yeah.
She does not want it.
I have tremendous respect for hunters because they at least can face what it is they're going to consume. I'd prefer to say, oh my God, I can't believe there are animals out there that are covered in breadcrumbs.
Let me ask you this.
I'm grateful for those
Eric
beasts.
Seals, a really good free press photographer. I was on the road with him one time, and we McDonald's was our only options. It was late. We pulled through the drive-thru. He ordered a Happy Meal and got upset that he didn't get the toy. But in any case, which was not surprising, but yeah, he said the same thing, Mike. He wanted the nuggets because he didn't want to think that
that's
really,
well, at least
it
in
had
that
anything
case,
to do with an actual chicken.
But there's no hypocrisy because there's no meat in a chicken nugget, so he's good there.
Watch yourself.
McDonald's franchisee.
Formerly.
I have a very quick, funny Eric Seals story. That maybe it's not funny, but I have to share this. I got to get this off my chest. His mother.
Does this story have an end?
His mother recently passed away, and she sounds like she was an absolutely wonderful woman. And I saw on his Facebook page, I said, I'm very sorry for your loss. I said, you look exactly like your mother. And he does. And I saw from a subsequent post, he's adopted. What do I do with that? Where do I go with that? I mean,
what did he say? What did he?
What's wrong with that?
He didn't respond. Well, I mean, it just made
no
me
biological connection.
I just felt like I was. I mean, these two people. If you put them next, you're like, yes,
yeah.
But it was just one of those things where I saw that and I just thought, oh God, am I the stupidest person alive?
My father was adopted, and he looked a little bit like his dad, but I look just like his dad.
My oldest brother is adopted, and he looks like all of us. So.
But my father was pretty convinced, and before he died, he actually passed on the paperwork to my brother and I, because he wanted to know where he was really from. He thought his father
had messed around with
on the side. This was in San Antonio in the early 40s, and then arranged through the agency to get him.
Really?
Yeah, he was absolutely convinced of that. And I looked just like him.
That right there.
Did that turn out to be true?
My brother still has the paperwork. He didn't want to do it as long as his mother was alive. He just felt sort of honored that way. But then,
I want to know how this story ends.
But he died before my grandmother did, so he never really got the chance. But we did get the paperwork, and I guess it doesn't matter.
What? That's no cliffhanger. There, you got to know. Grandma's dead.
I don't know. I was going to say
us.
that was.
I don't know. My brother's the one with the stuff. We probably could go find out.
Boy, with this insatiable curiosity, I see why you're a natural journalist. Anyways, Eric is a wonderful guy, and I'm glad that maybe it wasn't as stupid.
I'm sure
as
you're not the first person that has said that to him.
Anyways,
you'll be fine.
Now I want to know about Sean's grandpa stepping out.
He was the kind of guy that carried a lighter, even though he didn't smoke.
Yeah, because the ladies like to have their Virginia Slims lit by a gentleman.
Exactly.
Smooth.
Exactly.
Shit, you may have a lot more brothers out there.
I'm not saying that he's
misogynist.
I'm not saying that's good or not. I mean, yeah, no.
I'm just kidding.
I don't know. He sold
That for your benefit.
He sold Cadillacs in San Antonio, Texas.
Sounds like a smooth guy.
50s and wore a pinky ring, and
Did they have the Longhorns on the front of the Cadillacs?
I didn't see him all that often. No.
No. Okay.
No.
That's disappointing.
But,
Okay.
but anyway, so I don't know.
Well, a couple hours ago, we sauntered into room 7609, which is such a convivial gathering place that sometimes these conversations bubble up. But we typically don't travel much further than Canada for our unlikely source of new wave gold. But this week, listener Scott sent us wandering the steppes of Mother Russia with this email. Hey, ML and team, love the pod. I am too young to be Gen X, but too old to be a millennial, on the edge of 40. But you have helped me gain an appreciation of new wave music through your podcast. I listened to a lot of the grunge and pop punk music of the 90s and 2000s and never had any interest in that old 80s stuff. But after hearing it week after week on the podcast, I've become a fan and now have bands like The Smiths, Duran Duran, The Talking Heads, who we were talking about before the show, in heavy rotation in my playlists. I wanted to make a recommendation of something that's both new and obscure. It's a Belarusian band called Molchat Doma. I believe that's
like a great
how
one.
it's pronounced. As a teenager, I had the opportunity to live in Minsk, for a couple of years. It's a weird time capsule of a city, not quite old Soviet, but not quite modern. I think Molchat Doma really captures this weird dichotomy in their music. Let me know what you think. So here we are with Sudno by Molchat Doma. Sean, I know you, like I am, enjoy words. And what are those lyrics? I mean, what do you think of those?
Cool.
You love.
There's his one word review.
You know,
I actually really enjoyed that.
Enameled bedpan, window, bedside table, and the bed.
Had a little energy.
Not cozy at all, hard to live, but cozy to die.
Is that the lyrics?
I mean,
Or are you writing new ones?
Isn't that what you heard? That's
no.
You don't speak.
Was it even in English?
You don't even speak Belarusian?
Not at all.
I like the energy.
Is that really the words?
That's one translation.
Oh, okay.
There's others that basically, instead of enameled bedpan, it's enameled vessel.
But that's a new band, right?
I like. Well, we kind of said that we're going to try and
I know.
get to some.
I listen.
Some
Why are
new bands
bedpans
playing
shaped like
older.
toilets?
What's that?
Why are bedpans shaped like
a
toilets?
random question.
So you know where to drink water in a hospital?
Okay.
I don't know.
So you're not confused?
Are they all shaped like?
Why are
No,
toilets shaped like toilets?
I hate to do this to him, but when I was a kid, I had a stepbrother who had a bed wetting. I don't even know if they make those anymore. It's like a metallic sheet. Not sheet, but
He was upset because he found out that your grandpa was really your dad.
no, he was related in a different way. But
You went back in time and killed him.
You plugged it into the
Was that
wall.
where that story was going?
You plugged it into the wall, and if he wet the bed, it set off an alarm.
What?
So
that thing existed?
It did. Wow. Every freaking night.
Horrifying.
I'd get, because we were 3 into a room, and you'd get blasted by that alarm.
Oh my God.
And then people would come in and change the
Texas
sheet.
justice.
Yeah. So you should have had a bedpan, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, what is it with Texans? My grandmother used to, when my kid was, my dad was like 1 in a high chair and eating, she didn't want to play him with his food, so she would tie his hands behind his back.
Really?
To the point where he would then sit in a high chair and just automatically put his arms behind his back.
Yeah, so he wouldn't steal her Pall Malls.
Can you believe that? She smoked Winston's.
Oh,
but,
Winston's, okay.
That's insane. I love.
Can you believe that we used to do stuff
I love
like that?
stories about the way things used to be like that. The
Tied his hands behind his back so he wouldn't play
that worked
with his food. Isn't that something?
It worked.
And I loved my grandma. She used to make aspic salad, whatever. Anyway, okay, let's move on. Yeah.
I knew we got to
I want to know how this story ends.
We went from bedpans to your grandma picking her ass.
No, aspic. You know why I love my grandma?
Sorry.
2 things.
Gross.
She taught me how to take shredded wheat.
Is that when the alarm went off?
Right?
Oh, I'm sorry. What?
Did your grandmother
What kind of a bell do they have for that?
You're really getting into ML territory here with this story.
She taught me how to, oh yeah, I know. Take shredded wheat, toss it in melted butter, and then roast it. That was a pretty good treat. So,
It's just up in your head.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's Molchat Doma. Somehow, maybe if we understood the words, we could stay focused. But outstanding suggestion for Room 7609. We love to get your suggestions for Room 7609, so please keep them coming. You can write us at mlsoulofdetroit@gmail.com or give us a call at Butterfield 89070. That's 313-9070. And Mark, I think it's time to call Ed because we're about to get to a little bit of a listener feedback. But first, I want to thank our one donor who was a very generous benefactor, Brian. Thank you very much for giving. And if you would like to donate to support the show, you can go to mlsoulofdetroit.com, hit the PayPal button. You can make a donation. You can make a comment. And if you make a rather large donation, we'll even read a message that you write on the air. You can also help our show by contacting our sponsors and letting them know that you found out about them by listening to us. So we want them to know they're not wasting their time and their money supporting the show, and that our listeners support them. We don't just take money from anybody. So if we're doing business with them, they're pretty much on the up and up. You can also buy some of our great merchandise. If you want to support the show, you may have seen Sean in the Facebook Live broadcast show wearing our very fetching hoodie. It's a heather blue. It looks outstanding. Obviously, it comes in all sizes, from the women's cut that Sean is modeling to something for the more.
There's something like that was coming.
I just forgot my bra today, so it looks,
for the more portly gentleman. Which reminds me, there was a clothing shop on the north side of Chicago called the Wallaby Shop that was for smaller gentlemen.
Really?
I guess if they'd been regular sized gentlemen, they would have called it the kangaroo shop, but they called it the Wallaby Shop. I'm like, I do not want to go to the Wallaby Shop.
I'm looking at 2 mics here, by the way.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
because one's not enough.
It's your dreams come true.
It is.
I remember when I was in high school, baggy clothing, that was all the rage.
Oh, yeah.
And I was, I guess they would describe it as husky even back then, overweight. And I used to get pissed at my friends that were not, because they would buy, XLs and larges. And I'd be like, this is why there's none of this stuff on the rack for when my fat ass goes shopping, because all you kids are buying all the baggy clothing.
So, loose clothing? Like 3/4 shorts that sagged a little bit?
Oh, I hated it.
You look like Heavy D.
Heavy D, well, that's quite a reference, yeah.
So-
and the
so-
boys with
Yeah.
a Z.
I think we found a title for this week's show, The Self-Loathing Hour. But if you want to get some of our great clothing, long sleeve T-shirts, beanies, any of that cool stuff, even our super groovy neon clocks, you can get them at solardetroit.com. And a little feedback. Amanda opines of last week's guest, Jerry Shields. Great guest, had never heard of him. Just subscribed to his pod and ordering his book. Love when you all share newsroom and reporting stories. Mm-hmm. So, Amanda, thank you very much. And I'm glad that she wrote, because last week I forgot to answer her question. As ML goes door-to-door campaigning, any frequent ideas or complaints heard that have sort of surprised him? And one of our stalwarts who's been knocking on doors with me is Ed Murphy, who joins us now on the as yet unsponsored hotline. Sponsorships, attorney opportunities abound here on the Soul of Detroit. Just send us an email and we'll figure out a way to take your money and attach you to some particular appendage of this show. But
this is like news. It's informative.
Ed and I were knocking on doors, and we got to the end of Audubon, and we're doing pretty well. And we had a few houses left. Some people were asking about, why is my water bill so high? Why can't I get more light poles closer to the house? Mm-hmm. When are we going to get the speed bumps on the street? To
things that really matter in people's lives.
And these are things that a council member can have some effect on. And I was, I think, able to help the one woman figure out why her water bill was so messed up, because her water bill was in the mailbox as we were talking. But Ed finished his block sooner than I did, so he came over to the even side of the street, and I had 6 houses left on my list. So I said, Ed, why don't you take the 6 that are furthest away and move towards me, and I'll take the 6 that are closest, and I'll move towards you. And we got to this house. The last house on Ed's new list was a lovely house, as are many of the houses in District 4. And I don't just say that because I'm running for city council in District 4. But this house was super cool. They had all these little penguins on the front lawn that they'd made out of snow. And as I was pointing them out to Ed, I said, look at this. There's little ones. There's big ones. It's like a penguin village. They're in different positions. They have,
Did we call up Ed so he could listen to you tell the story?
Oh, no.
This is classic.
I'm listening. I'm just very quiet.
Yeah. So,
Ed, we do it every week.
Yeah.
So,
here's the guest. No, actually, Mike's going to talk for 30 fucking minutes.
Quite the setup.
By the way, what is your position on global warming? Because I got that question about 4 times.
Oh, God. Well, I mean, it depends if those penguins were friendly or not. But
wait, did you really get that question?
I did. I was trying to get a guy to sign something, and I was admiring his windows and everything. So he came outside, showed me his windows, all that he stripped and everything. He said, okay, what's Ulrich's position on global warming? And I said,
I'm against it.
I really don't know the answer to that, but I do know he's a little left of me. The guy said, that's an honest answer. I'm signing.
Well, that's an interesting thing because, as Emma was just saying, people are worried about, getting lights closer to them or their water bill, things that are affecting their day to day. And it's just such a macro issue. Not saying it doesn't affect people day to day, but climate change is such a big conceptual kind of thing.
Right.
That, down the line, I guess it affects people. Ask people in Texas how they feel about it. But, I'm surprised people being canvassed like that would ask.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, well, clearly, yeah.
If I was expecting it, I would have had an answer, sort.
And for the record, I've got solar panels on my house, and I have rain barrels, so
I've heard all about those. Yeah.
I am trying to lower my carbon footprint.
I got to put in one other thing when we were talking about your rain barrels and everything. You brought up this bogey story. You put me to sleep in minus 4-degree wind chill.
Which bogey story?
The one you just told on the air. I heard it twice now.
There's more than one?
Bring it up Saturday. I'm not working.
Oh, God. Oh, Ron Bogey. Yes, sorry.
Yeah, Bogey. Okay. I was thinking of Shenandoah Golf Course where I got a bogey once, so that was good.
Yeah, I have another boring story involving a guy named Bogey, so I was getting confused which one of those long-winded
I don't want to hear it on Saturday.
Okay. All right, I'm sorry. I interrupted the long setup. So the house has these penguins on there?
So it looks like a really cool house, and I'm like, I bet they're going to be nice. And and Ed, why don't you recount the end of your canvassing for us?
Well, I do believe in conspiracy theories all of a sudden because I think he knew what that house was. So I walk up to the door. I'm going to be all like, real light and airy and talk about their penguins on the front lawn and all this. There's a big sign on the door. It says, "Do not knock. Do not ring the bell for deliveries." So I had to sit there and think for a minute. I said, it's not a delivery. So I knocked on the door, and I said, the guy opened the door, and I said, yeah, I'm kind of sorry, but I'm of knocking on your door, but I'm trying to get some petition signatures for ML Elric. The guy looked at me, he goes, we're good, but fuck ML Elric, and slams the door on my face.
Oh, boy.
He didn't even give me a chance to go get Elric. I said, I wanted to say, I'll go get him for you. But, but I think Mike picked out that house for me because, like I said, I was all done. He goes, oh, look at this one. Yeah, you can have that one.
Yeah, so...
Did you know?
No, I had no idea.
Do you know now?
No, I was actually bummed out. I thought that house looked really cool. I was like, well, okay, Ed gets the fun house.
You associated yourself with cool. That was probably a mistake.
No, I associated them with cool. I was happy.
So whose
we'll
house
call
was
him
it?
Mr. G from now on.
Yeah. It was,
well, we're not going to mention his name.
No. Especially because he may come looking for me.
Is it a person that most people would know?
No, I don't think so.
Oh,
No.
okay. So why does he hate you so much?
I have no idea. We're afraid to go back. But that was the end of canvassing. We were done. That was it.
Then I got to hear the Boge story, whatever the hell it was, all the way back. Yeah.
Well, we had
Insult to injury.
We had a long walk back to the house.
Why was he telling that story Saturday?
God only knows.
You know what, Sean? Maybe if I retold the story, we'd find some points that might be relevant. Shall I start from the top again?
I mean, I sort of kind of remember why I was trying to tell it today, but
so Shirley was talking about Lee Chatfield, and
yes, I knew why.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, but okay. Saturday I was confused. Why were you just randomly saying, "Oh, well, here's the story about my time at Fox News"?
I never figured that out either.
Okay.
Ed was just praying for the sweet release of death.
I also had to go to the bathroom, so after 3 hours out there, I just wanted to get back.
Yeah, that was it.
I feel that way right now after 4 hours.
Yeah, here. I believe it.
So, Ed, I believe I may see you Saturday, and if all went well with the procedure, you'll actually see me.
Yes, I'm supposed to be sleeping now till 3 o'clock, though. So.
Well, that's why I told the Boji story.
Yeah, it worked.
Okay. Well, there you go. And that's what we're here to do with ML for Detroit, is to help people in the East Side heal, recover, and live their dreams, or at least have sweet dreams.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Okay, Ed Murphy, everybody. Thank you, Ed. And
thank you.
Ed is a tangential part of something we've had on the show before, when we had the Finding Charlie campaign to try and help locate that little dog on the East Side that was found after a couple weeks. Ed was one of the ringleaders of that, and has offered some leftover Finding Charlie signs to our campaigns. But
what happened? Charlie was found, right?
Charlie was found,
and he wasn't found in the parking lot where the person lost him, right? Like
no, he was not. His mistress is no Civil War actor, and if she was, she'd probably be a Blue Jacket. So she got that going for her too. But I think Ed was going to repurpose those signs with my face that says "Finding Whitey." So we still have to see if that's going to work.
More power to you for canvassing, man. That's a tough gig.
It's fun.
I think you really want to be on city council.
Well, you get to talk to people and you get to hear from them, and it's just kind of cool to be able to interact with people, and no one else seems to be out there working it right now. But this is do or die for me. So we're serious about this stuff. And, of course, on Sean's insistence, we'll be talking more about this throughout the year. I said, Sean, I think we need to put, we need to keep the hot and the cool, which Mark knows because his family used to sell the McDLT. But
too bad no one bought it.
I actually liked it.
I loved it.
I liked having my lettuce not wilty.
A little bit ahead of its time.
Yeah. Although a friend of mine, one of the funniest guys I ever met, he does not know anything about history. His name is Stu Whitney, and he got the McDLT one time, and he said, I prefer to have my food completed before it's served to me. So he
can't put the two parts
He
together.
wants somebody to put the top on the bottom where he felt like he wasn't getting what he paid for.
Really? Okay.
So, those are the kind of insights and wisdom you only get here on ML's Soul of Detroit. So, Sean, I understand that you watch... Cyrus, take us out. I know you like that Michigan basketball.
I think it's killing you, the state of the basketball teams in this state.
I will just tell you, I have Darcy, the aforementioned Generalissimo McConnell. Michigan State can lose to anybody, and I'll get a message about
really?
like How about Rutgers? I'm like, what does this doesn't have anything to do with Michigan?
Oh.
So I was desperately hoping that Ohio State would beat the dog shit out of Michigan on Saturday.
Classy.
And they did not. Well, that's what happens. Wolverines bring you down to their level. But Sean said he really liked the look of that team. He's afraid to say it now because I think
they're really good.
He's having an ass pick himself.
They're really good,
it's
but our
not a
listeners
salad.
don't want to hear about sports. So.
Oh, really? Well, there's actually an opening in the network for a sports program if we want to give people a little taste. No? What are you working on, Sean? What are you getting? What's next?
You did have a good
some
column
leek soup, perhaps?
On what?
On Izzo.
Perhaps some shallots?
Did you read my column about the Michigan-Ohio State game?
Probably. I usually consume almost everything.
Memorable.
But I thought the Izzo column was good because it just shows the overreactionary fandom that we live in now.
Yeah, it's our time. I was talking to somebody at Michigan last week about that, the reaction to Izzo, and he reminded me that they were part of the Michigan fan base had that reaction to Beeline at one point, 4 years ago.
I'm one of them. I'm one of them. When and then he turned it around around early January
and got to the Elite Eight. I think that very year.
No, I love it when athletes prove me wrong. I'm glad Justin Verlander proved me wrong because I thought he was cooked. I thought Stafford was cooked at one point. So when you hold them to a high, you want to hold your athletes to a high standard, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wish I was wrong about Harbaugh, but apparently I'm right.
Oh, you never know. In any case, there's your thrilling sports segment, Mike. I hope you're happy.
I think Izzo was quoted in Sean's column as saying, "Not cozy at all, hard to live, but cozy to die." Perhaps he's a fan of Molchat.
You thinking of koozie?
Doma.
Are you thinking of koozie, like to keep your beer cold, your Altus cold?
Sean, you know Izzo.
Or are you thinking of Coos?
Molchat Doma. Izzo's a big Sudno fan. He loves that song.
Yeah, he likes chicken fingers.
You know him really well.
I don't know about really well, but I know him.
Okay, you've known him let me rephrase it. You've known him for a long time, right?
I have.
Yeah, he'll acknowledge Sean in public.
I mean, how miserable is he on, compared to other times he would have been miserable in his career? Like losing in the first round to a 15 seed or something. Those one-off
I actually haven't
unfortunate things because this has been a long stretch that's just been painful for him.
I actually haven't talked to him in a bit. I mean, I've been part of the regular news conferences.
It's not only the way the season's going, but COVID has really hit their team and his son.
I think he knows it's kind of a weird year. I think he was happy with they beat Indiana the other day and figured out their rotations a little bit more and had some guys that have been really struggling play a little bit better, maybe a couple of them a lot better. And wouldn't that be something if they somehow knocked off a couple of these really good teams they've got coming up in the next couple of weeks?
I don't know about two of the games, but yeah.
And maybe they won't. Maybe they'll lose every one of them. I don't know, but
No. They're using these last games to set themselves up for the tourney, which they're going to win.
He was asked last week about the talk with his brand and is this hurting the brand and because of all this losing. I mean, he's been at the tournament 22 straight years and it's really unusual what's going on. And I think we take for granted the success a little bit, especially part of the Spartan fan base. And he was asked about that. And he's like, geez, after 1 year?
It's 1 year, and it's a weird year, too.
Yeah.
And it's a year after he could have won the national championship. So
it's just kind of. But he also said, hey, this is where our
Cassius
society's
Winston
at.
team in some simulations won the national
That's
championship.
a ridiculous thing to say. They could have won it other times, too. So
that's what I'm saying. He had a great team, and he loved Cassius, and now he's got.
So you just declare him the 2020 winner of the tournament.
I'm putting a banner up. Actually, can we use that banner that the Fab Five had to take down? Can we use that one?
They're still there. I don't know why. I don't know why they're not back up.
It didn't happen. It never happened. Time out.
The three of us will get together for a sports show.
Time out.
We're going to do the sports show?
Sure. When Chris Webber repays Ed Martin, we'll do this.
I'm not going to defend Chris Webber. I do not like that guy.
Oh, no, I don't either. He's a douche. But maybe we'll have Steve Fishman on to tell us how great he is.
We've tried, haven't we?
No, Steve will come on anytime. We should have him on. But the only problem is we want to talk about all his clients. He's like,
exactly. Yeah.
I can't tell you how guilty they are. So,
so where are we going?
We're just going to encourage
Bring him home.
We're going to encourage our friends out there to listen to the Drew and Mike podcast because it's the bomb diggity, as Sean used to say when he was wandering around the gas stations of.
I was more no diggity.
Austin,
second semester,
and listening to some of his favorite bands. There was Arctic Longhorn, and then there was it Cosmic Cow
No,
Pie?
Scratch Acid, they were great.
Scratch Acid, sorry.
The Reavers used to be called Zeitgeist when I was there. The True Believers, they were with Alejandro Escovedo as the lead singer. He was great.
And that other Aspic
Don't
Salad.
write me a book, kid.
That was a big
Yeah,
band.
you asked, so there you go. I'm sorry I got a little El Ricky in there. Okay, go ahead.
Aspic Salad. And of course, we fully encourage you to take some time on Fridays to watch the live broadcast of the No BS News Hour. That's on Facebook Live, right, Mark?
Yep. And then
of
on
course,
YouTube. Mm-hmm.
You can see the very compelling Mr. Charlie LaDuff doing his thing. And, of course, it's also available for download on all platforms, just as our show is. And we would appreciate if you would give us a download and a share.
Well, they just did if they're listening to
and
this.
a like and a subscribe. But do give us another one. Go look at an old episode of this.
Are you trying to drag out the ending?
Cyrus, are you ready? I'm stalling for Cyrus.
Speaking of the microphone.
Cyrus is just he's pulling on his dashiki. Cyrus, if you are ready, sir, would you kindly prepare yourself so that you'll be ready when the time comes to do that thing that you do at the end of every show every week, which is to take us someplace else, like out.
Can you dig that? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Nothing is more important than family.
You know, when you grow up around podcasters, sometimes you learn lessons in very interesting ways.
It's all fake, anyways. What happened?
I did not raise special boy.
I got big dreams for us.
My big dream is you.
I have had one hell of a life. There's still so much that I have to share with the world. Oh, and I've got some pretty cool stories about
Chandre
the Giant.